Oh my.
Holy. Sorry, he thought it nearly hit us.
Oh my. As usual, what a game. Our first penalty shootout of the World Cup ends with Paraguay beating the 4 times previous winners Germany to move through to the round of 16. Adam Hunt here in the Golazo Network studio with Marcelo Balboa, Nigel Reo-Coker and Troy Deeney. What on earth have we just watched? It was an amazing story for Paraguay. I can't even speak. We've just washed.
I feel like
something that we can't believe. We've been in the dishwasher.
Yeah, we have. I had to be spinning.
It was an amazing game, an amazing penalty shootout. Felt like a game of chess coming into it. And for Paraguay, I mean, you have to say this is their biggest ever win in world football, don't you, Troy?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of the talk is obviously going to be about Germany and what they can do better and the aftermath of all this. But let's start off by saying Paraguay, well done. You've broken everyone's bracket. No one put you through.
If you pick that, then...
No, absolutely. But also, you held in, you showed resilience, you came together. Just, again, taking it back a couple of weeks against America, get absolutely destroyed, slapped all over the place, and then you come together as a band of brothers, go, right, that's not happening again. And every single step of the way, every time there's been a setback, or a moment where you think they could go under, they rise again. Just think, they had an opportunity to win on penalties in the normal 5. They missed their last one. Normally, that's more of a shot to the stomach, and then they still go and win. Germany played their part in it not being great, but give credit to Paraguay. We'll dismantle Germany a little bit later, but Paraguay have been fantastic.
Well, we might be dismantling Germany right now because we can speak to a former Germany player. We can speak to their former goalkeeper, Jens Lehmann, who joins us now. Jens, legend, thanks for joining us. What did you make of that? Pretty disappointing, I'm sure.
Oh, it has been a torture, you know. It's very late here in Germany and watching 120 minutes and not really seeing a plan, and then an unfortunate goal taken away at the corner, discussable, but at the end of the day, I think you can give a foul against the goalkeeper. But normally we're good at penalty shootouts. And I believed in Manuel Neuer, but what can he do if 3 are missing? So very disappointing for Germany.
Jens, I just wanted to talk to you about that there in terms of a lack of a plan. It seemed very one-dimensional all the way through this tournament. How frustrating has that been with the talent that you have to now see just a one-dimensional performance against Paraguay as well? That's a big upset.
Very big, because as you said it, we have some really good talent in our teams, but they didn't really fit together. We didn't seem to have a plan. We were just not moving the right ways. We were not creating chances that way. You know, everybody was looking at the ball, either way, defending and attacking. And not playing, not linking up. And after, 10 minutes, 15 minutes after such a defeat, it's very difficult to find the right words. But it's now the 3rd World Cup in a row where we didn't progress into the quarterfinals or last 16.
Jens, is it fair to say that after today's result that it's an embarrassment for Germany when you talk about this World Cup and what the minimum they should have got to as a nation? And then also, is it fair to say now that there might need to be a change at the helm for this German national team? Because I agree with you about the lack of chemistry, lack of creativity. There just doesn't seem to be a real team in this national side right now.
I think every critic now is justified, but probably the main thing is that it seemed that the team was always comforting each other. You know, everything which was a problem, they've been talking nicely about, and don't worry, we can get it next time, and we will win the next game. But this time, even against Paraguay, they're not great. They were good and fantastic commitment and fantastic passion, but normally we should have beaten them easily. And it's a generation which doesn't confront each other anymore. The coach doesn't confront players. He never found the right blend between attacking and defending. Never really picked the right players for the right positions. So all in all, I think there's going to be a change because the public is demanding a change. In Germany, we got a lot of problems right now, and we expect a little bit from the team to boost Germany as a nation and the people. There's such a mediocre mood, bad mood in the country. So we were really looking forward for that team to give us something, but they disappointed a little bit.
Looking at the next step, now they go home, but I feel like today it was lack of creativity everything was very just, let's go wide, let's go wide and cross. And I'm used to seeing more, I guess, faster players down the wing, more creativity from Germany. It just felt like they were, okay, eventually we'll score, and then it's Paraguay, we'll get back in the game. But it just didn't feel like there was just that, any kind of creativity on that field today from Germany.
Absolutely right. And at the end of the game, he took the best wingers out, Sané and Wirtz. Yeah, Musiala bringing on is all right, but then he brought in a right back who's never played right back for the German national team. He didn't create any chances up front with Anton. And as I said, he just brought on people just for the sake of changing, I thought, without a plan. And if there's no creativity and you only bring Musiala, who plays for himself a little bit, but is not a strategic player, then it turns out to have a bad result at the end. But normally, even in the penalty shootout, we're quite good. But this time, everything fell apart.
Since 2014, since you've won it, there's been a steady decline in the identity of what German football is and where it's at. If I was to ask you, and I know it's very soon, 15 minutes after the game, but if I was to put you in charge now, where's the start point to this rebuild? Where do you go for that?
As you can see, now in Germany, there are a lot of coaches who never brought out great players, great talent. For example, Nagelsmann, he was a youth coach and then worked himself hard up through the ranks respectfully. Yeah, but there are limitations. But there's not one player in the German national team which he has been built as a player, as a character, as somebody who can really be a leader. And that's a problem with German football right now, because the grassroots development is not good enough. So we need to start with that. But definitely, I guess that we will change the coach now. Julian Nagelsmann has put in a great effort and was giving us some optimism. But at the end of the day, you see that probably he was a little bit too young, probably too not educated enough in being a national team coach. Psychologically, not really great. So I think they have to change him, but we'll see.
Yeah, and something we were talking about before the game when the team news came out was the decision from Nagelsmann to start with Undav and leave Musiala on the bench. Obviously, that was a departure from what we'd seen earlier on in the tournament, where Undav was coming on as a super sub scoring goals. Do you think that was the right call for this game, or he should have kept it to what he'd had before?
Definitely not, because Undav's strength was coming on, and bringing some chaos, creating some chances, scoring goals himself. So I always said, don't bring him on from the start, because it's a weapon when he comes on later in the game. And Musiala, you have to give him confidence. And what kind of message is that if one of your best players is sitting on the bench for another guy who is not being disrespectful, but who is not nearly as good as Musiala?
Yeah, 100%. I totally take that, Jens. I want to just ask you, a lot of these older players now, Manuel Neuer being the most notable, how does this last couple of tournaments leave his legacy? Because it feels like when the national team's not doing well, you always look to your best players and they kind of shoulder the blame. But I don't really think he's had a bad tournament, but he will come under the most scrutiny because he's got the biggest name. Is that fair?
Of course it's fair, but it's not his fault. I mean, mentally he was fantastic because he kept us in the game even when we didn't have a chance anymore. Yeah, and then one of his teammates at Bayern Munich shows up and doesn't hit the goal. Yeah, what a disappointment for him, because he gave everything, and you saw his mental strength. The problem in Germany now is that within 20 years, they did not manage to build a fantastic goalkeeper who could be at the age of 23, 24, 28, probably 30. There's nobody who can challenge him. And that's not a good sign for German football, because we had some decent goalkeepers in the past, and now we don't see any younger one coming up.
Jens, we've been talking all day about some of these big teams, the traditional winners of World Cups, not necessarily having the creativity that we've seen in the past. We were talking about Brazil earlier on in their game. You've seen it there for Germany. Is that a problem in German football? Why is Germany not creating the level of creative players that we maybe saw in the 90s all the way up to your day?
In that point, I disagree slightly, because talents like Wirtz, Musiala, they are really good. Yeah, Musiala came from a bad injury and he probably took a little bit longer. But Wirtz, for example, even today, he played the fantastic crosses. Yeah, every cross from him was sharp and on the spot and created chances. I don't understand why he took him off. And he is a talent. And other nations, they don't have 3 or 4 or 5 fantastic midfielders. Sometimes they have 1 or 2, but we have 1 or 2 as well. The talent is there. Yeah, not in every position, but creativity is there. With Musiala, Wirtz, Sané is a good creative midfielder. Kimmich is a central midfielder, a strategic midfielder. So we have some good defenders. We're lacking on the right back and left back positions. The guy today was experiencing the higher level and made a mistake for the first goal. But he's a good guy and he's a prospect for the future. We need to build some more strikers and goalkeeper, as I said, and probably right and left backs. But the talent in the midfield is there.
Yeah, and just on that, and Adam's just brought some up to my mind. You look at the Italians, you look at obviously Germany now, and you look at the Brazilians, and you start to look. Everyone keeps looking backwards, trying to recreate yesteryear in today's modern game. How do you see that you can embrace the past, but also carving out a future that is now this new way of German football or this new way of Brazilian football or Italian football? I keep seeing a lot of these national teams trying to recreate something that's not there anymore.
It's all about education and coaching. Yeah, and for example, if you look at the coaches today, Nagelsmann never was a player. I don't even know the names of his assistant coaches. And sometimes, we had fantastic team managers like Beckenbauer, then Rudi Völler himself, who was a player himself, Jürgen Klinsmann, Berti Vogts. Yeah, Nagelsmann is the first one after 30 or 40 years who never played himself. And his whole staff isn't. So as a player, as a top quality player, all of a sudden to come to the German national team and you see guys who cannot talk you through details, because details are what matters when you want to progress and when you want to have success in the game. It's all about details. It's not the big picture, it's details. But if nobody tells you about the details, you're always second.
Jens, it's really interesting insight. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll speak to you soon.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't know if you speak to me again because Germany's out now. Have a good time.
Who do I go and see about Germany breaking my bracket? That's what I want to know.
You speak more sense than some of the other people we get on. Let's talk about the point about the coaching there. I thought that was really interesting, was that, and you occasionally get this, don't you, where fingers are pointed at coaches that haven't played the game. And there are also examples on the other side of, Jose Mourinho is a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't play the game and were brilliant coaches. Where do you guys fall on that debate?
I think, first off, what an interview from Jens Lehmann, and also to be able to come on so quickly after, be poised. Yeah. Yes, you can see the emotion, you can see he's frustrated, but he's also very, very good in what he's talking about. But for me, the big thing is, what he's talking about there is a smaller details, finer details. And yes, the coach can be inexperienced, but your whole backroom staff can't be inexperienced. And that's what he was alluded to. He wasn't just putting all the blame on the coach, sorry. He was putting it on the whole staff, that there's not somebody that's been there, done it, and also not only able to lend an ear to the players and say, hey, this is what we've done in the past, here's how we used to prepare, but also to the managers, hey, just at this moment, what you're thinking? Be a bit of a sounding board, a bit of a bouncing board off it. And I think a lot of teams now and nations and teams are so quick to try and get to young coaches, young, so they can control them and tell them what to do. Where sometimes you need that little bit of experience, guys, where you have someone who goes, hey, that's wrong. And they challenge you and you go back and forth and you go, okay, I didn't think of that point of view. I'm glad you told me. Let's move on. But I thought that was a fantastic interview. Very, very insightful.
I think he made a fantastic point. I am for more so the players who play the game being in these coaching positions, because there's a journey that we start from whether it's 14, 15, all the way through. So that is where we're getting our experience in learning the game, being students of the game, where we can see it. The problem that I have with nowadays is when you speak to football, and a lot of my friends who are still in the industry now, there are these guys who don't come from a footballing background, who come in trying to reinvent the game, using words and talking about certain things to players where they don't know what it feels like to be a player. Only players who've played in the game and been throughout the system can understand a player's mentality. You can look at a player to say, all right, these boys need a day or two off. You can understand it without having to go to college and university and get these degrees and come out with these words and not really understand it. So I understand where he's coming from, because there's an element also of being an ex-player where I could go to Marcelo, look at that kid there. Oh, look, Marcelo, he's got a little bit of Ashley Cole about him. All of that is part of the education process. You tell a kid, you remind me a little bit of Ashley Cole, watch this player. This is what he's good at. You want to be a top-class player, a world-class player? This is what they do. This is what you need to do to be a world-class player. That's information that ex-players can give to the next generation, that these kids who come out with their degrees and stuff and who get in these jobs of football don't know. And for them, it's all about them being in the system than for people like us who just love the game and want to see a kid develop.
Well, and also, Cello, to both of their point, is these are people who have been in these situations, players who've you know, been in a World Cup, played in cup finals, when the pressure is really on.
Yeah. You mean Ancelotti? I mean, do we keep Aguirre? Do we want to keep going guys who have played, who are got their teams in good places? Listen, I can go either way because there's a lot of talented people who understand
you can make
soccer.
a counterpoint, can't you?
Yeah, you can make a counterpoint, but I think when you get to the World Cup, there's got to be a balance. If you've got a coach who's never played, then you've got to have former players. They're your assistant coaches. There's people out there that never played, but they do the analytics, and they're fantastic. There's a place for them, too. So I think it's about balancing out where your strengths are, okay, and when I have a weakness, where can I strengthen that weakness? So I think if you do have a coach who's never played at that level, then you find an assistant coach or a second assistant coach, but you have to balance out your coaching staff throughout that. But I've always been a firm believer, too, of ex-players know what it's like to be on the field. They know what a player's going through, and they got that feel for it. So we always say that smell. You've got that smell for when things are going wrong and things are going right, and you have that buffer between you and the players. Nigel here to be in there. So I'm still a firm believer that you got to have experience.
Quickly on that, though, but how many people in the higher up positions now are non-footballing people making the decisions?
Yeah.
So whether that be head of director of footballs, head of recruitment, whatever they are, these guys are. They want more people that speak their language.
But they're more dangerous, are they not?
100%.
We see them online all the time. They're 100%, dangerous because they watch it. Yeah.
Well, we may not have even got to a penalty shootout because we did have a goal scored in extra time that was eventually disallowed. So we can bring on
Christina from shopping.
Christina
What sweet shop is that?
We'll take some of those sweets behind you.
Yeah, I want some of those sweets, Christina.
enough about
I won't give a shout out to the.
Enough about the goals. Where are you?
I won't give a shout out to the company because I'm not getting paid to do it, but I'm just in the middle of the city. Quick little text from our producer to say, can you jump on and address this? So here we are.
Yeah, so
in the middle of New York City.
What did you think? Was it right, the VAR check and the ref eventually ruling it out?
Yeah, so it is right based on the protocols and what they have said that they were going to focus as a point of emphasis for this, and specifically was encroaching in the goalkeeper's area, right? Not preventing the goalkeeper from making a movement and from making a space. This is a play that historically would probably not have been touched in the past. It would probably have been looked through right before we had VAR. Now that we have VAR, everything is under a microscopic lens, particularly when it results into a goal. So this wasn't really surprising for me, particularly when you see a reverse camera angle. You see a little bit more of the wrap of the body. I forgot. I believe it was number 3 who was in the one, the attacker playing on the goalkeeper in that situation. So he's not even like running towards the ball. Yeah, thank you, Anthony. He wasn't running towards the ball. Really kind of more having a little bit of an impact on the goalkeeper. It's not a significant touch, right? We could probably justify how material the contact was, but at the end of the day, this was something that was a point of emphasis, was focused. And so I wasn't surprised ultimately when they recommended it down for VAR to overturn the goal, because there was no play on the ball by Anthony. It was basically just a play on a goalkeeper, even though it was a small subtle touch. So it would have been enough.
So we may as well just give up on any picks now. We don't need set piece coaches. Just put the ball in a box and hope that you head it clean. Because a pick is what happens and what people work on, right? They put the ball to the back post, I think, 5 or 6 times, and they get one right. And now, because the goalkeeper's been touched, the precious goalies, I'm glad Tony Meola's not here. But, it just seems to me now, Christina, again, the referees have been so good all the way through this. And we're now getting to that crunch time, and the referees and VARs are starting to get nervous, because that, for me, is not a foul.
Yeah. Like I said, I completely feel you. I saw it and I'm like, we're going to be giving this. And sure enough, I got a text by a historic coach in the women's game who had some play like that happen to him in the NCAA final that he lost on. He's like, what do you think about it now? And I'm like, oh goodness. So like, I still don't like it. I still don't think it's a foul. Once again, it doesn't really come down to necessarily my personal opinion. It comes down to what the referee is instructed to do. And once again, it comes back down to it's Colina, it's Massimo, who are the head of the referee department, who are getting the input and the discussions with other major stakeholders saying we want this to be a foul. So don't necessarily like it, but I can see the logic behind it as to why they are enforcing it.
On Troy's point, I'm going to ask, if that's a defender picking a forward or a forward picking the defender and it doesn't touch the goalkeeper, do you think that's called? I'm curious because I know goalkeepers, that's what I'm saying. I think it's because of that bubble around the goalkeepers, right?
It is. It's a goalkeeper, and I get it. Like when you're jumping in the air and it's a goalkeeper versus an attacker, right? The goalkeeper's arms are up in the air and their body's more exposed for being able to have that impact because they're trying to contact that ball with their hands. So they're open to more, subjective in the sense of not being able to defend themselves as well because they're not using their arms to fight off in an aerial challenge. But there is protection around a goalkeeper, and everyone's like, why? I'm like, because that is really one of the most unique players we have on our field. One, we all say goalkeepers are crazy in general, so I do wish Tony Manola was here so we could say that to his face. But it's more like just because that is a way to eliminate what the law does give is that one unique individual, the ability to play with their hands. So when you're targeted like that, the laws are going to be a little bit more focused in protecting and preserving the integrity of the goalkeeper.
These precious goalkeepers, eh? Christina, we'll let you go and enjoy your evening in New York City. Thanks very much for joining us.
See, Troy, you can pick me, but you can't pick a goalkeeper. That's it, buddy.
That's a new world.
What do we make of these? We've got some high numbers here. 9.7 for the goalkeeper, Gil Canale, who scored the winning penalty, 7.9. A few sevens in there, 7.7 for the first half goal scorer. Fair enough?
For me, you can't have anyone there less than an 8. I thought the way they defended as a team, Gomez throwed his body on the line. Every single one of these players is an 8. And again, the metrics, me and SofaScore don't get on. It's fine. They're used to it by now. But the goalkeeper was fantastic. You can't have a performance like that is to the level that they've done. Everyone fighting and digging in for each other. And there's players with 6.5s. It's frightening.
It's not also the saves he made in the penalty. It's also in the game.
Yeah.
The headers that he had where the goalkeeper pulled out some big saves.
Coming in claims as well.
Game.
The claims are just killing the game. They're very good.
That's what I thought, Cello, is he how he commanded his area, didn't he?
Well, he's 6'6".
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big goalkeeper, especially on PKs and when you're looking at set pieces. But I can't disagree. That should all be an 8 because what they did today, they surprised everybody. Nobody, let's be honest, no one had this team beating Germany. They sacrificed. You can drop and Cecil back in. It was a 4-5-1.
Yeah.
But they found a way to defend. They found a way to disrupt one of the teams that we thought could have a chance to go pretty decent.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of love for that group right there. They did a fantastic, especially when you go back to the USA game and you're thinking, man, that was a shell of what we saw today. So a lot of props to them for what they did.
Troy used the word resilience, and I agree to that. I would say it was gutsy.
Yeah.
Their performance was absolutely gutsy today. Solid all the way through. They deserved it all the way. Great result.
Yep.
Historic moment made.
Good stuff for them. Let's have a quick look now, shall we, at Germany's SofaScore rating. I think there's going to be some low numbers here. There is still some.
What's going on here?
Honestly.
What are we doing?
Are these a bit too high considering they've just gone out?
Yeah.
Wirtz is high probably because of the assist for Kai Havertz's goal.
But also Kimmich is in there as well with the 8. So again, maybe the penalties add to it, but
Kimmich, yeah, I would say Kimmich for me is the only one Mr. Reliable. What he did from right back and then going into midfield.
But some of the, Rudiger's higher than half of the team. That just, look, their stats, and you do a great job tapping away on your computers, and fair play to you. But it's my birthday, and I'm going to tell you, you're miles off it.
Again,
you're absolutely miles off it.
But this
Go.
But this goes to the conversation we just had about there's some things that players just know from watching the game compared to new generation of numbers and stats of what.
The XG this and the player movement and the tackles.
And not bad for your first ever win in a knockout phase of a World Cup for Paraguay. This is a smaller South American nation who just haven't really been able to perform at this kind of level in previous World Cups. Remember in '98, losing to France. In 2010, they did manage to get past Japan 5-3 on penalties, and then they've beaten Germany, of course, this year. So this is going to mean a huge amount, isn't it, Cello, for Paraguay on the world stage, and really, hopefully, I mean, who knows if they can be able to get through the next match. They're playing France or Sweden, but at least give them confidence at future tournaments that they can go to the knockout stages.
Listen, every game you get in a World Cup is a bonus because you don't know if you're going to win, if you have a chance. No one gave them a chance. So, yeah, I think, one, this is going to do a lot for their country. I think this is going to do a lot for those kids sitting at home in Paraguay watching this team play or in the stadium. So the gut check they had, the mentality they had, everything they got right in 3 games, right? From the USA game to this game, they got it right. Can they do it again? That's a tough performance to follow, but you got to give them a lot of credit for what they did today. They beat a very average, can we say average German team today?
Absolutely.
Very average team.
Is what I'd say.
And they rose to the occasion, which is fantastic.
I think as well, the sad part about it, when this type of upset happens, we spend 95% of the time talking about the bigger team, like the Germany.
Yeah.
But this is a fantastic performance. Yeah. They knew what they were doing. Everyone was well drilled, well organised, and also, personally, wouldn't get no credit for it, the manager.
Yeah.
Tactically made great decisions as well, when to leave players on, when to take players off. I thought they managed the situations very, very well.
And I know that they got helped a little bit with Tar taking such a bad penalty at the end, but also for it to have come back level and then still to go... Because, I mean, we were all sat here, and I know I was thinking, well, Germany are going to win this now, aren't they? As soon as it got back level, and then they managed to win it. As I said, France or Sweden in the round of 16, more than likely, obviously, France. Have they got any chance in that game?
Nah, no chance against France.
OK.
You just asked me a question, I answered.
All right,
No
then.
chance against France. I'm sorry. Great gutsy performance today. But against the French, it's a different level of quality.
I'm going to go back. Everybody has a chance. After watching this performance in South Africa the other day, I got to say everybody has a chance right now.
Do you think their coach is going to be saying it's like it's a free hit?
No, there's no free hits.
Are they all
there's
heroes?
no free hits.
Are they all heroes?
Hey,
I know where you're going.
I forgot
know where you're going.
We live in a tropical utopia too. Yeah, they got a chance. It's a tropical utopia we live in, ladies and gentlemen.
Do they approach this game, Troy, if it is France? I mean, even if it's Sweden, because Sweden have got some great players too, do they go into that one with the same game plan as we saw against Germany?
Nothing changes. Yeah. Nothing changes. That's who they are. They try and be defensively solid and try and hit you on the counter-attack. The only team that have broken them down is America, because America was like, OK, that's what you want to do. But the one thing America has done that nobody else has done against them is have selfless runners. Yeah. To have McKenzie run from midfield. The 2 midfielders run and make the defenders go, whoa, hold on, you're not supposed to be here, and have to think for themselves. Everybody else have been slow, one-paced, everything's been in front of them, and they've defended really, really well. So credit to America in that regard, but Paraguay are not changing anything. Yeah.
We saw a comeback from 1-0 down earlier on today. Obviously, Japan were winning that game. Brazil came back into it and won 2-1. What did Brazil do that Germany weren't able to, Nigel?
A lot more energy in the second half. We saw a lot more crosses in the box, and there was a lot more urgency in the play. That's what it is for me. I don't think that Germany showed the urgency. We talked about it as well. We could even start to question the chemistry element in that German side. They just didn't seem to function fully like a team. Too slow, too laboured. They bring on Watermada late on in the game, and then crosses coming in, but then you take Sane off, who's your best crosser of the ball. So there was a lot of questions than there were answers. And I think Nagelsmann's going to have to answer to a lot of decisions he made. And again, it goes back as well, even in the start of the game, not starting Musiala and sticking to your principle of Undav being more of an impactful player. And I think that actually was a game where you would start Musiala and then bring on Undav in the game as they start to wear down this Paraguay side.
Well, and it finally ends the run of German sides winning penalty shootouts, as we well know. England in 1990 losing that penalty to shootout against Germany in the semi-finals. So this is the first one that they've lost in the World Cup.